Hi Virgo, this is Mimi with Divination by Mimi. Welcome to your January 1st through the 15th, 2018 tarot reading with a little bit of astrology and oracle if necessary. Virgo, you are a mutable Earth planet, or mutable Earth sign ruled by planet Mercury. And Mercury tends to be, well, known as the messenger of the gods. Mercury tends to be which has to do with very left brain thinking. That has to do with logical step-by-step assimilation of information and then taking and processing that information to create a solution. And basically, of the two signs that are ruled by Mercury, Gemini and yourselves, their motto is I think, yours is I analyze. So you're a little bit further down the road in that you think and you take in the information, but you also process it and consider what's useful versus what's not useful. So that gives you a little bit, hopefully a little bit insight as to what your planet and what mutable, being flexible or adaptable is. So with that, at the time that we're doing this, this is the 1st of January. There is a full supermoon in the sign of Cancer, and that's at 11 degrees, by the way. And at the exact same time, your ruling planet Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius. There's a beautiful water trine forming with Neptune, with Mars, with Venus, and of course the moon. And this is a very good time, harmonious time for intimacy in relationships, but also in intuitiveness, in dreams, in being open to kind of like spiritual downloads from the universe, particularly Saturday the 6th. Very harmonious aspects occurring that day. What else can I tell you? There are also there's 2 full moons this month. Again, the first one is the full wolf supermoon in Cancer at 11 degrees. Again, 11 is the master number of service. So if you initiate a project or come up with an idea, although it may not seem at first glance that it helps humanity or other sentient life forms, it usually ends up doing that. That it's a natural byproduct of whatever it is you're producing at this time. So it's very positive. What else can I tell you astrologically? There's a new moon in Capricorn on the 17th, and that is not a supermoon. And then there is the second full moon, which is a blue full supermoon with an eclipse, and that's the 31st of January. So January is kind of chock full of activity. In addition to this, there is an interesting aspect occurring with Uranus. Now, Uranus is not something that directly relates to your sign. However, it does relate to all of us on the collective because it tends to work for the collective. It has been retrograde for a very long time in the sign of Aries, the 1st house. It's going to be going direct on the 2nd of January. That's tomorrow. So watch to see what kind of activities occur in the news. Uranus is kind of the rebel. It's the revolutionary. It's the Che Guevara, the Leonard Peltier, the Bobby Seale, and Huey Newton. It's the revolutionary idea. Angela Davis of concepts. In fact, Angela Davis is an Aquarius, and Aquarius's ruling planet is Uranus. So really works to uplift people for the collective, for everyone's good. It's a very positive energy, but it is also a very unpredictable energy. It's kind of like when you look at Norse mythology, it'd be kind of like Loki. He's like the what anything can happen kind of energy. So expect possible changes in human life, in our world, but also it can impact the earth in other ways. Weather, other natural disasters can possibly occur. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but that is the unexpected, changing, fast-moving energy of Uranus. Unpredictable, just non-expected stuff. So possibly some surprises on the home front coming. So that said, let's get into your reading. I think that should cover it for the astrology. I'll cover the other lunations in more depth and the astrology when I do the second half astrological readings. So let's start with you, Virgo. Again, as I said, you are a mutable planet or a mutable sign ruled by Mercury. And again, that tends to be about flexibility, analysis, considering all things, adaptability. Very, very interesting sign. Again, your motto is I analyze. Using the Thoth deck, and I'm going to do a 4-card pull based upon a current situation in your life. So a problem or a joyous situation, or just an area of your life where you're possibly not sure what to do. Why do you feel stagnant? You've kind of suffered from, you and Gemini have suffered from Mercury retrograde-itis, being your ruling planet, and it kind of, with the Saturn squares and conjunctions that occurs with Mercury, makes it feel very restricted. So you should be feeling better of that around the 11th, when we're totally out of the shadow period for the retrograde. And hopefully Mercury, being the quicksilver, quick-moving planet that it is, will have moved far and away from Saturn and that restrictive energy. So we're doing a tarot reading, a 4-card reading for Virgo, January 1st through the 15th of 2018. What insight does Virgo need help with? What can we shed light on for Virgo, January 1st through the 15th, 2018? Mutable earth sign, I analyze. Virgo, January 1st. Holy Hecate. Thank you. Wow. First card up, the High Priestess. That's where you are. You're feeling connected. Makes sense. Right now is the time to feel connected. If you're getting to this at the first portion of the month of January, you're probably getting to start to feel, because you analyze, you're aware, you're getting to start to feel the interesting feelings of this moon, a full supermoon. So the supermoon means it's closer to the Earth. A full moon is obviously larger, it's bigger, it's the fullness of the moon, it's the full reflection of the sun on the moon's surface. So it's shining and showering the whole planet with its light. When it does that, it's kind of like when you have your cell phone. It's like having all bars available, having really good reception. So you're, being the High Priestess, she's a very intuitive, magical kind of energy, you're probably picking up on a lot of downloads that are occurring. So that's great. Now, I'm pulling for a positive and a negative side. This was the positive pull. The second card that came out was Sorrow. That's the Three of Swords, but you got it in reverse, which means you seem to be moving beyond some kind of a pain, and that's good. So this intuition, this putting a higher perspective, you know, the bird's eye view perspective on how we really operate in this holographic universe. The fact that you've taken on that thinking is helping you get over some pains, seeing them for what they really are, as tests, and not just tests, but lessons. Now, this is a major arcana card, meaning it's karmic. It's definitely something that's important in this life cycle for you. It's important that you experience it. You would be experiencing this process with or without your assistance in the process, and it appears that you're open to the process. So that's very good. You're open to the world. You're open to the universe. You're open to spirit to guide you. There's another one. And you got, whoa, and you got the Wheel of Fortune. You got it in reverse. So I'm sorry, I should have shown it to you in reverse. This is Jupiter, and it is expansive energy. Jupiter as a planet is a very expansive ideology, or expansive energy. So the downside of this, because, now there's the negative aspect of this, because you're at a place where you're making big life decisions and learning and growing, the chance for long-term karmic issues to arise are there. The Hebrew letter attribution to this is Kaf, and that is the fist or the hand. Now, normally when we think of Virgo, we think of, I analyze the head. But in actuality, we're definitely connected. Your brain is still solid matter. It's still carbon life form, even though there's crazy synapses and there's a pineal gland in there that totally is an antenna. I totally agree. But the hand is relevant to this. So I think what you're being asked to look at and to be careful of is to make sure that not only your words and thoughts are on point, but that your deeds are as well. Make sure you're acting from a place of faith rather than fear. Overall advice, oh wow, is the Capricorn card, the Devil. Someone else got this, I think it was Leo. So the Devil, the Capricorn's card, is not so much about the devil, it's really more about Saturn. the world, the manifested world, the trappings of the manifested world, but also how things manifest, how things come from thought to things, to solid matter. So the overall advice here is to have discipline in this process. In other words, you're in a perfect position here to take in information, to take in, make that journey over the abyss. The Hebrew letter attribution with this is gimel, which means camel. And the ideology behind this is that the camel is an animal that can go long, long distances, great tenacity, with very little resources of water. They can actually store the water. And it takes you across the abyss. The abyss in the Kabbalistic tree of life, or the space between like Heru and, well, I don't know that they have Deoth in the Kemetic tree of life, but the space between Amin Asur and Heru, the sun, or Tifereth in the Kabbalistic tree of life, that space is called the abyss, which would be like the desert. And this is why the high priestess is the card for that path on the tree, that path between Tifereth, the heart, which is the sun, Heru in the Egyptian mythology or Kemetic mythology, or Horus, which was the sun, or Tifereth, or Christ, or however you want to put it in the Kabbalistic tree of life. She is the path. She is the camel. Oh, she's not a camel, but she is the vehicle with which to travel and make that connection between what we see in this holographic world and its source, Keter, or Amin Asur. I'm probably getting off track here. My point with this is you're on the right track to extremely progressive downloads. And yet, if anybody's going to have the intellectual capacity to handle it, it would be you. The warning here is to make sure that deed is matching thought and word. Okay? I don't usually think of Virgo as being a hypocritical sign at all. However, that's the warning here. That's the aspect that there, because this is you've let go of sorrowful things that have hurt you, but you're being reminded of the downside of karma, the Wheel of Fortune card. And the downside of karma is it's a life lesson. So if you don't figure it out this time around, it's going to have to be the next incarnation. And I think, although we think linearly with this, other times a construction of the human existence on this short period of time on this tiny little planet. Our goal, I think, is to get it done now, so we can ascend in the next incarnation. This is warning you to make sure that your deeds follow your words and your thoughts. And the best way to go about that is to employ discipline, the discipline of Saturn, the discipline of the Capricorn or Devil card. Again, devil not as in the devil, the biblical devil, but devil as in the manifested world, as in Saturn. There's the rings of Saturn. The goat is a very earthly animal. This card is all about earth. And the reason it's being brought up as overall advice here is the discipline that Saturn requires to manifest things. So even though we're talking about ascending above Malkuth, ascending above Geb or matter, in that process, you do have to show and understand, and you are what's the word I'm looking for? You are under the rulership of the restrictions and limitations of a three-dimensional world in Saturn. And that includes, are you doing everything you're supposed to? Are you saying everything you're supposed to? Are you thinking everything you're supposed to? So use discipline to avoid any inconsistencies between thought, word, and deed. I hope that makes sense. I think that's pretty clear. If you have questions on this, Virgo, feel free to ask them or have comments on it in the comment section below the video. If you'd like something a little more geared to you, feel free to email me at mememes@hotmail.com. We'll set up a time for an appointment, very reasonably priced. Thank you very much for subscribing and sharing the videos if you think it might help someone else. And if those who have booked with me, thank you so much for trusting me with this process in your life. It means the world to me. It makes me feel really, really happy to be part of your to be co-creating with you in your life. And I think that's it. I will see you for the lunations, the additional lunations, and for the second half of the month's readings. You take care, Virgo.